Right guys, it's that time of the week again and we are back for our Championship score predictions. It's now the last round of games we've got in the Championship before Christmas, so a really integral weekend coming up in the league. Before we get into all the mayhem of the Boxing Day fixtures and the games before New Year's and everything like that. So as always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Do drop your score predictions down there. And if you're going to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. 400 likes would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump into the action. Starting out on Friday night at Kenilworth Road for Luton up against Derby, and this is two fairly similar sides going up against each other here. So far this season, both Luton and Derby have picked up the vast majority of their points in home matches, and on the road is where they both tended to have their struggles. Also, it's two of the best set-piece teams in the league going up against each other. Derby have scored from 12 set-piece situations so far this season. That's the best in the league. Luton have been the second most prolific side from set-pieces, scoring 9 so far this season. So I'd have my money on maybe a goal being scored from a corner or something like that in this game. Feels like those margins will be quite tight. I just can't get away from Luton tending to be stronger at home. They're unbeaten in their last 5 home matches, and Derby have generally come unstuck on the road. Fantastic win for Derby last time out, putting 4 goals past Portsmouth. Can they bring that sort of oomph into some away performances? They've had a few draws on the road of late. A draw here wouldn't surprise me. I think I'm just edging it towards Luton though with that home advantage. Going to back Luton to bounce back from last time against Blackburn with a 2-1 home victory in this game. Next up, and to the first of the Saturday early kickoffs, we're going to Hull up against Swansea. I just recently had a glance at Hull's upcoming fixtures up until January, and the fixture list isn't looking kind to the Tigers, obviously. Sat at the foot of the table right now, they've got Swansea this weekend. They've then got games against Preston, Blackburn, Middlesbrough and Leeds up until the 4th of January. That's not the ideal sort of fixture running that you want when you're desperately low on confidence and not scoring a lot of goals right now. This one won't be easy. I know Swansea lost against Sunderland last time after being 2 goals up, but generally speaking, Swansea have tended to do quite well against the sides below them this season. Swansea have lost 8 matches up until this point of the campaign, and 7 of those losses came against sides currently in the top half. Generally speaking, most of their points have come when playing bottom half opposition. Head to head, Swansea also have a better record than Hull in recent years. Hull have only won 1 of their last 9 meetings with Swansea. Whether you want to read anything into that, you can go ahead and do so. I just feel like these home matches now for Hull, especially up until January, are going to be absolutely crucial for them to try and keep competitive and keep with the rest of the pack and not let any sort of gap form with them at the bottom of the Championship. Score prediction here, I think Swansea the better side, but I just think maybe Hull could scrape a point. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, but Swansea are no mugs on the road, are they? After that, we're off to Portsmouth up against Coventry. Feels like Coventry are starting to find a few results and a bit of form under Frank Lampard. They've taken 7 points from their last 4 matches. Obviously, it was a good win for them last time against Hull City. This one presents itself as maybe a little bit of a banana skin. Portsmouth obviously coming off the back of a really poor showing against Derby where they shipped 4 goals. But thinking back to earlier in the season when they had a similarly quite dismal away performance when they conceded 6 goals at Stoke away, they bounced back from that fairly well. Straight after shipping 6 goals against Stoke, they went and drew with Oxford and then beat QPR, so they took 4 points from those next 2 matches after that shock result. I have a feeling that Mousinho is going to get his Pompey squad as fired up as possible for this one in front of the home crowd, where generally speaking they have been quite decent recently. They're unbeaten in their last 3 home matches and have kept back-to-back clean sheets in home games as well. Score prediction here, I'm going to go level, 1-1 between these two. Portsmouth are no mugs at home right now. After that, we go to Sheffield Wednesday up against Stoke City. Stoke not in a great moment right now. It's no wins in their last 7 matches. They managed to salvage a point in the end over the weekend against Cardiff thanks to Ben Gibson's last-minute equaliser, but does feel like Narcis Pelac is feeling a bit of pressure right now. The club haven't had the desired bounce from making that controversial shift from Schumacher to Pelac, and I mean, looking at their upcoming fixtures, things don't get much easier for Stoke after this game, where they've got upcoming matches against the likes of Leeds, Sunderland and Burnley. For Sheffield Wednesday, it feels like they're due a decent performance at home. I've probably been more impressed with them recently in away matches than I have been at Hillsborough. The last two games at home against Preston and Blackburn Wednesday were a little bit underwhelming, but feels like this is a decent time to play Stoke right now. They're coming off the back of a good result Wednesday against Oxford last time. Score prediction here, I'm going to go for a tight 1-0 Wednesday home victory. After that, we go to Turf Moor for Burnley up against Watford. If Watford win this one, they'll only be 4 points behind Burnley in the league table, so it's shaping up to be an interesting matchup. Both teams coming off the back of really good results last time out as well. Burnley coming from a goal behind to beat Norwich. Still can't get over that Zian Fleming goal in that game, by the way. An absolute thunderbolt. But Watford themselves coming off the back of a really good result themselves against West Brom last time out. Would we still be arguing that Burnley's weakness more often than not this season probably has been highlighted in their home matches? They've had a really good defensive record at home especially, and they're actually yet to lose at Turf Moor. But when you compare their home record right now, they're currently averaging 2 points per game at home to the likes of Leeds and Sheffield United, who we reckon they'll be up against in terms of the automatic promotion hunt. Leeds and Sheffield United at this point in time are both averaging around 2.8 points per game at home. So quite a difference there from Burnley, who have tended to be quite draw heavy in a lot of these home matches where they found it quite difficult to break down the opposition. I just feel like Watford have it in them in this sort of away environment to make themselves quite tricky to break down. Burnley have already had 5 goalless draws so far this season. I wouldn't be totally surprised if this game follows along on a similar sort of pattern. Score prediction there, I'm going to go for a goalless draw, which could be another quite frustrating home one for Burnley. Next up we go to Cardiff up against Sheffield United. Cardiff were moments away from claiming a much needed 3 points against Stoke City, all for Ben Gibson to pop up with a last minute equaliser. Now means it's 7 games without a win for Cardiff, and they could desperately do with a result in this one, but Sheffield United won't make it easy. Sheff United this season, I think, have been really good at managing to sort of take the sting out of the opposition, even when Chris Wilder's men haven't been at their firing best. I think that was an example over the weekend against Plymouth, where Sheff United were by no means playing at 100%, but they still walk away with 3 points, another clean sheet in a 2-0 victory, which on paper looks quite comfortable. Cardiff can look to cause them some problems here, but the gap in quality between these two right now, it's hard to see past another Sheff United win. Score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 to the Blades on the road, which would mean it's 8 without a win for Cardiff. After that, we go to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Oxford United. As of recording, it is managerless Oxford United. Obviously, there will be an interim in charge for this game, but the hunt for Des Buckingham's replacement still ongoing as of recording. This isn't the sort of fixture you want to be going into on the back of what has been a really grim run of form recently. Obviously, the 3-1 loss against Wednesday over the weekend ultimately costing Buckingham his job. Leeds, obviously I saw them up close and personal against Preston over the weekend. They were by no means at their very best, and it has felt like a bit of a trait with a lot of their away performances this season. It's almost felt like they've been playing with the handbrake on. They've been a little bit risk averse, whereas in home matches they've been a lot more clinical and willing to go for the kill. It's 9 wins from 11 home games so far this season for Daniel Farke's side. 25 goals scored in those 11 home games and just 6 goals conceded. They're on an absolute roll at the moment, and it's hard to look past Leeds in this sort of fixture, especially given the current circumstances around Oxford. Score prediction in this one, I'm going to go 4-0 Leeds. I really fancy them to get a few goals in that one. After that, we go to the Den for Millwall up against Blackburn. Had this fixture taken place a few weeks ago, I think we'd all have been saying, this will be a real test for Blackburn. And I still think it will be, but right now, this could be a decent time to be playing Millwall, who are probably going to go through a bit of a transitional phase right now on the back of Neil Harris leaving. The form book hasn't been brilliant recently for Millwall either, who are 6 without a win, and contrasting to Blackburn, who have won their last 6 consecutive matches. I think they probably are the favourites coming into this one. It's 5 clean sheets in a row for Blackburn in that time as well. This is the sort of game that I would fancy to be fairly low scoring. And to be honest, in a game like this in the Championship, I wouldn't be totally surprised if it does go against the form book and Millwall show up for this one. But the way Blackburn have been accumulating points recently, especially in their away matches, they've won their last 4 games on the road, which is really impressive in the Championship. I'm going to go 1-0 Blackburn in this game here. It just feels like Millwall could maybe go through a bit of a transition here. Next up we go to home park for Plymouth up against Middlesbrough. I remember last season there being an absolutely bonkers encounter between these two at home park. It ended as a 3-3 draw in the end, and if I'm being totally honest, I wouldn't be utterly shocked if a similar sort of game unfolded in this one. For all of Plymouth's struggles so far this season, they have been pretty good at finding the back of the net in home matches. They've averaged 1.7 goals per game in games at home park this season, but contrary to that, Middlesbrough have been one of the best away teams in the league when it comes to hitting the back of the net. Middlesbrough have averaged 1.9 goals per game in away matches, which is no easy feat. Borough coming off the back of a good result last time out against Millwall. They are winless in their last 2 away matches, albeit those away games against Burnley and Leeds I think we all thought were going to be very difficult, and this game against struggling Plymouth will be a totally different proposition. To give Plymouth a little bit of credit, I thought they gave a decent account of themselves last time out actually against Sheffield United. Not an easy place to go to, but could have left something with some of the chances they had in that one. I see a lot of goals being scored in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-2 sort of either way. I just got a sneaky feeling that Plymouth could get something from this one. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in there. Fancy a few goals at either end. Next up we go to Loftus Road for QPR up against Preston. It's two sides here who have improved and pulled away from the bottom 3 at a similar stage of the season actually. A few weeks ago I think we were discussing both these sides as potential relegation candidates, but the run of form that both teams have had recently, they've just managed to pull their heads above water. For QPR, it's only 2 losses in their last 11 games. A big factor in that has been they've finally managed to get a few wins at home, which has been absolutely crucial to pulling them away from the League One trapdoor. And for Preston, it's just 2 losses now in our last 14 championship matches. The frustration with North End is that we've just been so draw heavy of late, obviously. Another draw last time out against Leeds United. To be honest, on paper, I think that probably is still a decent result despite us conceding very late on in that game. It could have been all 3 points. 4 points from our last 2 championship matches isn't something to be sniffed at. This one here feels like quite a tight game, to be honest with you. There's only 1 point separating us in the league table right now. If QPR win this one, they will leapfrog Preston in the league table. They've been pretty good in home matches recently. I just think with how draw heavy North End have been recently, I'd be foolish to back against another one here. 1-1, I'm saying, between these two, but could very easily be 1 goal either way, that one. After that, we go to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Norwich. And looking at the wider form book for Norwich recently, it's not been brilliant for them, obviously. They lost 2-1 last time out against Burnley. It now means it's just 2 wins from their last 12 league matches, and those 2 wins came against struggling Plymouth Argyle and struggling Luton Town. So this one now going away to the Stadium of Light seems like a bit of a daunting task. For Sunderland, it was a real test of character last time against Swansea. To have come back from 2 goals down in that one to win it 3-2, I don't think can be underestimated. Yes, there have been a lot of draws in there recently for Sunderland, but it now means they've only lost 1 of their last 14 matches, and that came away at a very good Sheffield United side. So, I mean, Norwich have players who can turn it on and absolutely can be game winners, but the form that both teams are coming into this fixture with, I find it hard to see Sunderland losing this one. I just wouldn't be surprised if they drop points and it's a draw. But on the balance of probabilities and how impressive that comeback was last time, I'm just going to edge the Black Cats for a 2-1 home victory in that one. But I see goals at either end in that game. And then to finish off the weekend, we're heading to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Bristol City. We saw West Brom's 12-game unbeaten run coming to an end over the weekend as they lost away at Watford. And not the easiest of matches to bounce back here against a Bristol City side who do tend to be quite a tricky customer, especially when coming up against a side in the top half of the Championship. I think Bristol City recently have firmly established themselves as a mid-table outfit. Whenever they have got a bit of wind in their sails, gathered a bit of momentum, it's always felt like they've never quite been able to capitalise on that. Probably the weekend being a prime example of that against QPR. Totally dominant performance from Bristol City. They just couldn't kill it off and in the end ended up drawing it 1-1. West Brom will will be looking to bounce back from a loss last time out. I wouldn't be surprised if they return to form here, though, with another draw. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 between those two to finish off the weekend. But guys, there you have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts on this weekend's matches in the comments down below. Other than that, though, guys, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.